Nate Oats facing a familiar guy in Danny Hurley in the Hurley family. He owes them a lot, and he's looking forward to the battle.
I don't know that we'll be breaking bread Friday night with me, Bobby, and Danny, but it is kind of cool that we're playing each other in the Final Four in Bobby's hometown, current hometown now. Danny's one of the guys I talk to a lot during the year. He's obviously really good. We both have a high school background. We've both known each other for a long time. I probably won't be asking him his advice on how to handle the week of the Final Four, since he's done a pretty good job at last year and done a pretty good job so far. But, look, we're both going to get our teams ready to play. We're going to be super competitive. I'm sure he's going to be on the refs as usual. I might be a little bit as well. We'll both coach the game super intense, and then, whoever wins at the end, we'll hug it out and cheer for the other one in the final and be friends again after the game. Tons of respect for those guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for either one. Danny brought Bobby, got him in. Bobby brought me. Bobby's a mentor of mine, as is Danny, and so it is super cool that I'm playing against him. I wish his team wasn't so good that I was playing against, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so what's the recipe for the upset, though? And they've only lost 3 games. One was on the road at Kansas. One was on the road at Seton Hall, and one was on the road at Creighton. So first off, it's not on the road.
If you can get them in Tuscaloosa, it would help. Yeah.
It's a neutral site. Now, Alabama fans are going to try to get there and do their best. So what else happened in those games? One of those losses, their big guy, 7'2". We talk about Edey, who's 7'4". 7'2" Donovan Clingan, he went out with an ankle sprain. I think it was the Seton Hall game, and that impacted their chance to win that game.
You can't assume an injury is going to happen. You got to find a way to get this guy maybe in foul trouble. I don't know if Alabama is about driving to the basket, trying to initiate that contact. But the fact of the matter is Alabama's got to score the basketball, and that's what they take pride doing. It's one of the best offenses in college basketball, and now it's going against what has become a defensive monster in this UConn team. Again, through 4 games, they're only giving up 53.5 points per game, and they've won by margins of 39, 17, 30, and 25. I mean, they've been just dominant, but the ultimate neutralizer at this level is the three-point shot. And I was talking to a couple of guys last night, and I don't know if this is a Reese Davis thing that has got rolling, but Reese came on here and said that he thinks they need to hit 23s. And I had multiple people tell me last night, if they can hit 23s, well, hell yeah, if they can hit 23s, they're going to be okay. I think if they hit 14 plus, I think they could be okay. But Clingan cannot dominate, and they can't be fearful of Clingan.
Would you say Alabama's offense has played pretty well the last 2 games?
Yes.
Sweet 16 Elite Eight?
Yep.
Yeah.
The defenses they faced, according to Ken Pom, were 8th in the nation, North Carolina, 34th in the nation, I believe Clemson is where they were. This is even a step up from that. UConn's defense is 4th in the nation. We talk so much about Clingan in the inside. That defense, on offense anyway, but that defense is what scares you to death. I mean,
who's the top 3?
Top 3 defenses in America?
Yeah.
Iowa State is number 1.
Okay.
Houston is number 2.
Okay.
And Tennessee is number 3.
Okay.
So the most comparable defense Alabama has faced would be Auburn and Tennessee.
Yeah.
By the numbers at
Where's Auburn on the list?
6th.
They're 6th.
Yeah, that's the most comparable.
So they've had a look at this kind of defense 4 times with Auburn and Tennessee, and they played Houston in a home-and-home the last 2 years before that. So some familiarity with his coaching staff with the kind of defense. They played UConn recently, so they know what they're getting in for defensively. Don't you feel like UConn also has to help a little bit? That UConn has to be bad. In those losses, by the way, the 2 Big East losses, taking away the one at Kansas, the 2 Big East losses themselves, UConn was 7 of 37 from three-point land. They missed 33s in those 2 losses, so they can't have a good shooting.
Yeah, look, their confidence right now as far as shooting the basketball. I don't know if it bothers them, though, because they're winning by such a big margin.
Yeah.
So you're able to just continue to chunk up whatever you want, and you're still up 20.
But early on, if the shots are falling, that's not good news for Bama. But if they're missing, then that's the recipe for mistakes. And not just from 3, Brownie. When they lost to Kansas, they shot 41% from the floor, inside the arc, outside the arc. They shot 38% from the floor against Seton Hall, inside the arc, outside the arc. So they're not the Harlem Globetrotters. They are beatable, but they're pretty darn close to it. They haven't lost since February the 20th. February 20th, their last loss.
So if we're looking at the like defenses,
okay,
Tennessee and Auburn, Alabama scored 71 against Tennessee, That's not going to be good enough to beat UConn.
I don't think it will.
Their first matchup against Auburn, they scored 79. Creeping up on 80, you might be able to get it done. I don't feel confident. Then their trip to Auburn, they scored 81. That's not going to get it done. And then they scored 74 against Tennessee. So against good defenses, this offense hasn't been elite.
What point total do you think they need to get to? Give me the point total.
80 plus.
I'm going to go 89. That's what they did the last two games, right?
Okay, but Lance is saying, so Jim, if they get beyond 80, you think they've got a chance?
Got a chance.
It's not a win.
Yep. In the 70s, they don't have a chance.
If they get into the 80s, we've got a little pucker factor probably going on.
That's going to be key, too.
Under 4 timeout.
All right, so the teams that have gotten at least to the 80s, this is not going to take me long.
Yeah, this is a handful.
Yeah, Butler, again in a road game. This game was at Butler. 88-81, UConn won in a conference game. Butler was 8 of 17 from beyond the arc. Now, they made 23 of 25 free throws, which is outstanding, obviously. So there's one, okay? You want to count these, Dunaway? When I tell you the teams,
I'm going to put it at 3.5 is going to be the over/under on this.
Scored 80.
Can I put my right hand in my pocket?
Yes, you may. That was Butler scoring 81. Unless I have missed one, the only other team that scored 80 or more was in the conference tournament against St. John's. This is regular season conference tournament against St. John's, who scored 90. They were 10 of 22 from beyond the arc, 16 of 18 from the stripe. I mean, that's it, guys. I'm done.
Yeah, I think
they don't give up 80 a lot.
Team total in this game is probably 73. You can check this at my bookie. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Based on the total, I would say they're 73.5 team total. And if they don't go over that team total, they have zero shot at winning.
I mean,
this game.
you guys think they need to get 80 to have a game. They have allowed that exactly twice this year.
Yeah, and they still got to play great defense, too.
Landmine believer, they're 19-1 when they score 89 points. They score 89, they win. I agree. If they score 89 points, they're going to win this game.
Well, Patino and St. John's in the conference tournament put 90 on them. That's by far and away the biggest point total they've given up all year. I will point out once this year, Alabama hit 19 threes. Now, they did lose, but they hit 19 threes against Purdue.
Right.
So it is, I mean, if you think they need to hit 18 to 20, it is at least possible. It has been done.
This Alabama team who's already out there, they're already practicing. We were right. We were half joking of where they were going to practice. It ends up they really are practicing at Grand Canyon University.
What a flex.
Hey, I eliminate you, and can I use your facilities?
That's right. Yeah, I think we earned the right to your facilities. That is part of our territory now.
I didn't realize. I knew Grand Canyon was in Arizona, and I didn't know it was in the Phoenix area, though.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Canyon's 4 hours away or 3.5 hours away to the north, but Grand Canyon University right there in the Phoenix metro area.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. We brought it up jokingly yesterday, and then to see when Alabama basketball sent out photos that they were at GCU, I was like, wow, that is a bit of a flex.
Our buddy Chief, his dad, Red Harden, played. He was a catcher at Grand Canyon, and played with Ron Polk. They were good buddies and teammates there.
Oh, how about that?
That school's that old?
Oh, yeah.
There's
like they had a decent practice facility.
Yeah, there's Grant Nelson putting up some shots yesterday with a mustache at Grand Canyon. I would tell you this.
Boy, if you put that in black and white, I mean, you could see. I mean, that form. Put some Chuck Taylors on him.
The University of Alabama has arrived at Grand Canyon. They're trying to win their school's first national championship.
Grant Nelson, obviously, if he plays like an NBA prospect like he did against North Carolina, would help a lot, too. Double-double, 26 and 13 in that contest. And so, too, when you talk about the young freshman Stevenson, who had a game against Clemson, either one of those on the perimeter, if they can be the biggest guy, if Natos plays with 5 shooters, if Wrightsell plays, and the biggest guy on the floor at a given time is Grant Nelson or Stevenson, and so you're lined up 5 on the arc, and you have to pull Klingon out there to guard you, then that does free up things around the rim.
If you have multiple guys hitting the shots here, and I don't want to say it's a problem, but I brought this up on Bama and Bourbon. We were talking about Mark Sears, me and Aaron Suttles yesterday. And everybody talks about the Jaron Stevenson game. Stevenson hit 5 threes and had 19 points, but Mark Sears again goes out 23 points and 7 threes. Like, if Mark Sears has an off game, this Alabama team is done. We're just so numb to him having 20 to 24 points every night out.
But, dude, he started 0-7 against Clemson.
Yeah, but he didn't finish that way.
But if he doesn't hit those shots, they're not talking about
it. Why it was so big for Jaron, he was hitting those shots when Mark was 0-7. Or 1 of 12, whatever he started out. And then Grant was so big in the game against North Carolina because Mark didn't score in the first 6 minutes. Then he scored 14 points over the last 14 minutes of the half. Then he scored 2 points in the first 17 minutes of the second half. Then he had a big bucket and a big assist late to help Alabama beat North Carolina. So there have been big stretches that the two ACC defenses took Mark out of the offensive scheme, and Alabama's had somebody else step up in both those situations.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you have a guy like R.J. Davis for Carolina, when he didn't step up, they ended up losing the game. When Jamal Shedd gets hurt for Houston, they lose the game. Yeah. Sears is going to have to continue to play at the level he's playing right now.
Yeah, Sears has to be Sears, but the other two big wins have come with three other guys close to 20 points. You know, like
you're going to have a complimentary guy come out and have a big night. You're going to have to.
I think it was Sears with 18, Ryland and Estrada with 19, and then Grant Nelson had 24 in the North Carolina box score. I mean, that's the kind of game you got to have again from the team. You're going to have Sears getting his, and then three other guys having great offensive nights.
You know, he has scored in single digits one time this year.
Mark Sears?
Yeah. It's pretty incredible to think about, isn't it?
So consistent.
You're not going to guess it. You look like you were going to try to guess the game.
Hold on.
I'll go ahead and tell you it's been a minute.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to say it was Ohio State.
It was Missouri on the road, a game Alabama won 93-75, worst team in the conference. Missouri scored 9. Since that game, he's only scored less than 20 twice. He scored 17 in that home overtime win against Florida, and then 18 in the Sweet 16 against UNC. Other than that, he is a 20-plus machine. So if you fear it, you're right, Lance. If he's below 20, it is bad news because he's never below 20.
Never
below 20. So, I mean, if he's below 20, I don't know who would have to have an incredible game for Alabama to win.
Absolutely. By the way, there's a thing going on in Louisiana when it comes to, I was about to mention Mark Sears and prop bets. It's been one of the more enjoyable prop bets you can make at mybookie.ag is taking Mark Sears over 20 points all year long.
It's paid off pretty heavily.
In the state of Louisiana, the gambling circles, they passed yesterday that you cannot do prop bets on state players on the college level. So no in-state prop bets.
So if I'm in Alabama, I can still do it, obviously, on an LSU player. But if I'm in Louisiana, I cannot.
Right. Charlie Baker is trying to get that changed, the NCAA president, to take prop bets out of all of college
look,
sports.
and I love prop bets. I mean, they're fun if you're not in prop bets to make money. If you're in them to entertain yourself, I think they're great. But you could see an individual I don't know. That would be easier to manipulate than fixing a game.
Right.
I just think it's so much easier to police in professional sports because there are fewer teams, fewer players, and they're making more money, right?
Yeah.
And in college sports, especially in college basketball, you got 300, is it 58?
I thought it was 343.
Something like that. Yeah. How would you ever even police that?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Only major marquee games have props available. Like, obviously, both these games this weekend will have props available.
Patrick says, any word on Wrightsell? I know game time, but is there a lean? He is doing workouts, and his workload in practices is increasing a little bit every day. Whether they're comfortable putting him out there probably will be a medical and player family decision at some point there before they tip off on Saturday. But it will be a true game time decision. With the concussion, sometimes it feels good on Friday. You wake up on Saturday and you just don't feel it. So it'll be a true game time decision all the way. But he is doing more and more in basketball workouts every day, which is a positive sign. Patrick, thank you for that question there.